Okay, welcome everyone to Punjabi Chamber of Commerce's next webinar. I'm very excited about this. And I let me tell you a little about myself. I am Sandeep Dal. I am the founder and CEO of a couple of companies. We have a marketing and advising company and an investment company where we advise on merger and acquisitions and also invest money as well as our equity-based consulting and all those things to help you grow. And for Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, it's a non-profit organization which is funded by generous support of Punjabi community. As you know, we all Punjabis are very generous people across the world. They are spread across. And this was started by Gary and his a few friends in around 2017 from New Jersey, and it has the main purpose is to unite the Punjabi community globally, and all Punjabi business owners, the small and medium businesses or professionals or anybody who is working in large organizations or smaller organizations who want to actually grow and maybe come out and have their own startups and found companies. This is the right platform for that. So we have a strict no religion, no politics policy in place. And like I said, this is a non-religious organization, non-political organization. Our only focus is to help you grow in your business or in your professional careers and help community leaders expand their reach and to give back to our community in Punjab and across the world, wherever we are located. And we come from varied backgrounds. Like we all know that Punjabis are across the world and they are doing bunch of businesses, from startups, from technical startups to you will find CEOs, and you will find gas stations, you will find franchises, you will find small and medium businesses, professionals, lots and lots of diversity in our community for what we do. And so the signing up is easy. It is still free to be a member of Punjabi Chamber of Commerce. Please join as much as possible, and please share this news about Punjabi Chamber and global community with everyone. We have a charitable arm also. We have been helping on COVID when it happened, and now luckily things are getting better in COVID everywhere. But we also have other initiatives coming up, and we have a youth wing where if you have a family member who is young, they want to join, then please reach out to our team or me here in San Francisco area, and I will be able to get them in. And I have the pleasure of having Ritu Arora Thakur. She is the CEO and founder of Smart Tech. She is an excellent entrepreneur, and I was very impressed with the first meeting we had, and I requested her to be a guest on our webinar and share her abundant knowledge with us. And I'll give you a little bit of a brief about her right now. And she is the CEO of two companies, Smart Tech and Smart Global Tourer. And she works on, so her companies work on enterprise sales, performance management, master data management, analytics, technology support for automation and integration, sales and marketing campaigns for SMB, which is small, medium businesses, digital support for social media, website and e-commerce, and training and change management. She also, one of the companies, which is Smart Global Tourer, helps in end-to-end travel services, individual and group travel, and global travel support for 32 countries. I am amazed. I don't know how she does all that together, and we would like to know more about that in the next webinars and all that. But let's dive into our topic, which is understanding customer segmentation and coverage model business model series. This is part of the series which Ritu and I will do in this year. And today's topic is business model and how the customer segmentation and understanding that and how it helps. And without further ado, I would like Ritu to take the screen, and share her knowledge with us, and I will be a listener. And at any point of time, for the audience, if you have any question, Ritu has asked us to stop and ask a question right away. Am I correct, Ritu?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. Feel free to put it in the chat, and Sandeep, you or the team can call out. So
Yes, I will.
perfect.
Okay, so you can share your screen, and then
Sure.
we will listen.
Great. Okay. Let me bring up. Here we go. And let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah,
Can you see?
we see your screen.
Perfect. So first of all, Sandeep, thank you for such a glowing introduction. And, it's really been interesting, collaborating with you and sort of working through this idea of, trying to give back to the community, right? From a perspective of uh, what we've learned as working through the business. And, we're both in that space. So this is something that we're familiar with, and, building out this so that we can reach back and help. Because just like you mentioned, right, from my experience, I come from technology and I come from travel experience. I love traveling, but I understand those domains, but I didn't have a business background. So to learn some of these things, it can be overwhelming, when you're starting a business or kicking it off ground. And so the goal here, and just to share some context, like, when we get into business, we're always thinking about, um, we need a sales department, we need a marketing department. Well, I understand technology, but I don't know anything about sales, marketing, or operations, and how do I manage that? But what I've learned over a period of time is, when you look at those, having a plan is important, and then converting it into an, executable component that you track on a monthly or a weekly or a daily basis at the simplest level really helps take it further. So, like I said, thinking outside the box, right? We've been in business for a long time, even despite all the market disruptions, the pandemic, it has been sort of a growth opportunity for us. And so not having sales, not having marketing, how do we do this? What are the tools to use? Those are some of the things we'll talk about, how we can help them with coaching. So what you see up on the screen right now is basically the 9 building blocks of business that were rolled out by Alexander Osterwalder in about 2008. They have been around for a while. I particularly like this view or the visual of it by Strategizer, because it puts it all in sort of one view, one perspective. And what we'll do in our series is, as we go forward, go through these 9 blocks and say, what does it mean to my customer? And what does it mean to me as the organization that's engaging with the customer? And how do I convert it from my, revenue goal is $1 million, but, is that a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan? And if it's like a 3-year plan, like what's first year versus, what's on a monthly basis, and what does it convert to, what opportunities I need versus, what conversion I do, to get my customers, and am I doing enough and be able to realize. So in terms of looking at this, right, 9 building blocks that are there, from an organization perspective, it helps build all those customer relationships and, provide value and do longevity. From a marketing perspective, it allows to say, hey, am I tracking? What's my pipeline? And you know what? It also gets people thinking out of the box a little bit. So for example, the traditional model is to think marketing and sales is a cost structure, right? A cost impact. What we found is, when you truly leverage the plan to executable task approach, marketing has even been a revenue generator for us. So, these are some of the, how are you doing it, and can you track it, tips and tricks that we can, offer our audience.
Okay.
Any questions?
Nope.
Okay, sounds good. So what we'll do is when we look at this 9 building box, we're going to start on the right side of it, right? Basically, right now, finding opportunities is such a hard target, right? We as small businesses are competing with large enterprises in the same space. It's the same pie, like the market is disrupted, it's fluid. Just trying to close an opportunity takes a lot. You've got to look at your costs, how to sort of work through. So in today's world, customers are so aware that that general selling approach no longer works. Unless your business is sort of a diverse platform service, that overall broad selling, like we need to focus more on sort of the targeted approach to your customers, to your market. What value are you providing, and how are you differentiating yourself? Are you servicing their need? Are you providing the right value? So the key component of here that I start with always is the customer segment, right? The customer segments, the customer relationships, the who you're selling to, so that you can do a targeted approach. So when we look at sort of the customers, the first thing to understand about the customer as we move forward is their journey. And when we say journey, generally I look at like 4 phases. Some look at it from a 3-phase, some may drill in further. I look at it from a 4-phase engagement phase perspective. The first one is the customer starting to realize that there is a need, and they are looking to say, what is my need? What are my options? How do I, plug that gap of what I'm requiring, what I'm looking for? The second is the consideration phase. As I'm starting to, now I know I have a need, what are my options? Can I, buy versus is there something I can build internally? What are my options to buy? Where do I, who am I looking at? And so they're starting to go from a broader list to down to shortlisting what they want. And then purchase is obviously, you're converting the customer to the opportunity to a customer, and that's where you sort of get the commitment from them to engage. And then the post-purchase is where it's more sort of a service, like, customer service, ensuring they get the value, checking back through, right? Now, why is this important from a selling organization perspective? In the discovery phase, you want to participate to help them understand your offer, right?
Yeah.
As they're looking, sometimes there's a difference between a need versus a perceived need, right? What am I looking for? I am a customer. I may understand, but not truly the problem statement or the root cause.
I have a question here for you, Ritu. When we say identify need and perceived need, what you're saying is that sometimes customers, like in our experience, we have found sometimes customers don't even know that they need something.
Yes.
And we're trying to unearth that need. So you are saying that will be a part of the discovery phase.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Sometimes going in to, even like when I've gone into an opportunity, and I'll give you, this has been a recent project that we were at. We were engaged, sales performance is our specialty. And so we were engaged by the client. This was the 3rd iteration of that implementation. They just were so frustrated that their sales performance model didn't fit any of the existing solutions in the market. And so instead of going in and saying, hey, let's just use this, we worked with them to understand what their, a year of engagement in terms of working through, understanding that the biggest problem was their data. Their data was not clean, the data did not map in, irrespective of what solution they brought in, the data garbage in, garbage out, right? So from a data analytics perspective, not only did we help them understand that, they're looking at a project from a master data management perspective, but they're doing an ERP implementation, and we got pulled in to that project. Now, we are not an ERP service provider, but the value was there, right? So we're part of their journey as they're looking at what they want to do. So this is sort of a, great example to your question on, how can you help the customer, and understanding their need is really important, collaborating with them on that.
Okay, thank you.
Sure, sure. So as we are looking at the customer journey, the reason why it's important to understand is also you can look at your organization to say, how do you engage, right? So the discovery phase is more about sort of the sales and marketing part of your organization. The consideration phase may be more of the product or service part of the organization. Purchase as far as looking at the, sales part of the organization. When you look at delivery, and then from a customer service, right, follow-ups,
Yeah.
and how you can upsell, provide that additional value. And as your organization, all of these departments, functions need to connect and hand off and, collaborate so that the customer journey is enhanced, the customer experience is enhanced. Your brand builds a good story for them, that you just organically now you've got their engagement, got their understanding, got their trust, and you're getting longevity out of your customers, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Sure. So now the next part is customer segmentation, right? So when we talk about customer segmentation, what does it mean? It means understanding your customers, the who, the where, the why, how, and I'll talk a little bit more about it in that detail, that you can better service their need, better provide value, right? So let's take the first one, who. Who am I connecting with? What age, what marital status, what education, what ethnicity. Because if you think about it, right, every culture has its own little nuances. So in your communication, in your interaction, trying to understand where they come from, even it becomes key, right? And I'll give you a very simple example. When we engage with clients that are from California, versus East Coast, like New York, there's a very different way of approaching interactions, right? And so that's part of how you deal with them as well, because you've got to understand the nuances. And this is just within the US, not talking international, not talking global. This is just, and then you start to look at, am I talking to an executive? Am I working with the person at the ground? Like, what are they looking for? How do I engage with them? How do I communicate with them? You look at the geographical location, right? Are they, what country, what state, where are they based, what time zone? If I'm trying to work with somebody at an EST time zone, I've got to work within that window, right? If I am selling winter-based products like, boots and, clothes or jackets, I need to work with the specific target market in that particular niche area. Then we look at sort of the, psychographics. Why? Like, what influences them? Why do they need it? Just sort of, what are their motivators? What is the true value they're looking for? So understanding part of that. And the fourth aspect of it is the behavioral. So, patterns, like, from an approach perspective, when are they buying? Are they buying every month? Are they buying, once in 2 years? Like, how do I engage to appropriate target? Another classic example would be, let's say, if it's a holiday-based product, right? So, for example, if it's a company like, it's an alcohol distributor and they do most of their business in October, November, December, there is like, that is the peak. Am I, as an organization, structured to manage that? And then if my lull is in the other 3 quarters, what can I do from a promotions perspective, or additional opportunities to sort of rewards or programs or discounts that can bring in business for those lull periods?
Yeah, so I have a question here.
Sure.
I think you will be able you will answer it very well because or you may have also read it that with the power of technology in the last 10 years or so, we have been able to segment the customers so well that now we are saying that we are able to find or maybe develop a segment of one, and which is kind of a from mass marketing to a personalization, like you see on Netflix, like as you see on Amazon. You are they're personalizing the experience so much. So I do you think for a small medium business also that's possible, or I think things are going in that direction that they can maybe take develop products and develop services based on the individual or maybe a little smaller cluster?
Definitely, definitely. And you actually hit two really key points that are worth bringing up. So, one is as an organization, direct sales, where you have a dedicated salesperson, is the most costly channel of selling, right? Versus when you have digitization or e-commerce, you can manage your margins better. So, part of the segmentation is also if Sandeep is sort of e-commerce customer, making sure that you deal or engage with him there versus having sort of the dedicated direct selling, right? So that's sort of gearing a particular channel or approach and managing internal selling costs, cost of acquisition for customer there. But the other part you brought up is, as a small business, you may actually also, when you run your numbers, figure out that you need one or two enterprise clients, right? How do you go after them as a strategy, and what do you do? So what it allows you to do is, if you plan, if you understand your customer and revenue metrics, you can build a strategy of targeting your specific market. And to
Yeah.
your point, I may just need one customer and I'm good to go, because my one customer is 500,000 or $1 million lifetime value. And so how do you gear that towards it, right?
Yeah.
Even when you do e-commerce, you can target your selling proposition based on a certain market or run campaigns accordingly. So, definitely. And today's market is all about targeted selling.
So I don't know whether you said that before, so, but I wanted to also clarify whether this geographical, what you used to be geographical, now everything is online. So you're talking about where customers are, who these customers are, where they hang around with, what is their political or their religious or any other, or what kind of friends they have, what kind of taste they have. So all that is coming up within this slide, right? And
Yes,
even even
yes.
even this. Okay.
Yes. And even geographical, think about it, right? Not all of us are 100% e-commerce. So if you are calling a customer, are you calling them within their time zone? If your business product or services is geared to a particular, weather, climate, season, you're looking at it from that perspective. So where your customers based, what time zone, what country, what city, what zip, is important to know. The other aspect of it is, let's say if I'm doing a marketing campaign for all yoga instructors in California, I need to know who those yoga instructors are in California. So even if I'm not, selling a product or service for that, if it makes sense, my campaigns are targeted to them. I may do, like, just take a basic example, right? We are doing this webinar at 8 o'clock right now. There are certain countries that may be not able to meet this, right? If we were doing this webinar for, let's say, India, we may be doing it in the evening, right? Uh, 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 Another example would be in terms of webinar, just like, if we were to do a 5, 8, or 9 p.m. PST, right? It's a different aspect to it. So
Yeah.
other than even direct selling, just, your marketing, your connecting, your customer service, understanding where they're based, becomes important from a segmentation perspective.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, sure, sure. So when you look at who they are, what age, what education, where they're located, what their buying patterns are, when you have this data, then it helps you answer that next key question: why would they buy from you, right?
Yeah.
So, this helps you define a picture of how you can build your then unique selling proposition to them, and how you can use your coverage model to sort of, engage with the clients to provide the
Mhm.
right value.
Yeah. Thank you.
Sure, sure. So if you look at some of the basic questions we are trying to answer, right? Where are the customers in their journey? What is their need? What is their problem statement? How do we approach them together to truly group them together from a market perspective? The other thing is, what are they willing to pay? Because the misperception is pricing is always cost-based. The way I look at it, pricing is more value based, right? So, for example, if I gave you a pen and said, hey, this pen, how much would you pay for it? You'd be like, maybe 50 cents, maybe $1, right? But if I say, hey, do you know this is, a specific brand, or I got this from, like this was given to me by somebody, that is a big influencer, the value goes up of that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
from, the quality, from, the perspective you build, the value you provide, what you can charge and, price your products. Because one of the things I'm constantly, resetting with entrepreneurs, small businesses, when they're looking to start up, they always think that underpricing their product to break into the market is the solution, right? And then it becomes a pricing war that's not sustainable over a period of time. So this is where looking at, when you truly provide the value, going back to the example of, we have not done ERP implementations, but we understood data. And so we are now on an, enterprise project that the client thought we were providing value. So it leads to organic upsells. You're not necessarily, and today's market, or just even as a standard approach, basically, to get a new customer is 5 times the cost of, having an existing customer that you're extending into, having a relationship. Like there's the trust, the connection, right? From extension of an existing client, your success rate to close to a client who you've built versus success rate to be able to sell to a completely new client, substantial difference there.
Yeah.
Then we're going to talk a little bit more about the relationship. So this is something to think about, right? What kind of relationship does that client want to build with you, and what kind of relationship you want to build with the client? Like, is it direct selling? Is it sort of online, like, this is a once a year connect versus, hey, I connect with them pretty much on a weekly or a monthly basis. What kind of product do they require? And this is something very interesting, is sometimes we go in to deliver a solution, and we find that in our conversations and truly understanding, there's a business opportunity for you. And I'll give you an example. So um, a couple of years ago, one of my etiquette training clients, was reaching out to funeral homes to provide general etiquette training on, how to service their customers. The last few years have been hard, and that industry has been swamped and was not necessarily equipped to, handle that volume or that level of bereavement. So from a customer service perspective, one of the organizations brought us in to do etiquette training. In talking to them, we realized that they're doing a lot of business virtually, but they're not used to doing that. And so we ended up developing a custom package for them for communication and uh, communication etiquette, right? Now, because we truly understood that need, that was also beneficial for my client because they're now able to offer an additional service to their other clients. So, it works both ways. It helps for better customer engagement, but sometimes they could also be aha moments for you that allow you to grow your business. So, just sort of talking through. So at the end, when we look at customer segment, these are some of the questions we've answered. Who's my target audience? Where are they located? What do they want to buy? Why do they want to buy? How do they want to buy? And why would they buy from me? Right.
Excellent. Yeah. I think these questions are the very foundational, right, for everyone. And each question, in my opinion, can result into a project, or
Yes.
into at least a brainstorming session within the core team of if the company is small or a larger team, right? Like,
Yes.
how do they want to buy? It may start with a focus group, or
Yes.
why do they want to buy? That's a very key thing,
Yes.
understanding. And I was also, and please address that thing also. Sometimes people say, there are two things I'll say. One is that people don't want to be sold to, but they want to buy, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
understanding why do they want to buy is very important, so that you don't feel like you are selling the stuff. You are actually enabling the other person to buy this stuff. And that's a key shift in our mindset. Now, right. So those things are, what do you think about that? Does that thing work in every kind of small and medium business, or is this a special kind of requirement for some businesses, not for everyone?
No, so let me take it again in to cover two areas from a response perspective. The first one is, I know when we look at sort of our selling approach, right? And I think you've talked about this in your prior webinars, the red ocean versus the blue ocean, right?
Yeah.
Value-based selling versus, you're looking at, hey, I need to make my numbers and I'm just going to go in and sell. That doesn't work anymore, right?
Yeah.
Because everybody like is focused on what is the need, what is the value. So doing the targeted, providing that differentiator will help you and your customer, right?
Yeah.
So building trust comes from providing value.
Yeah.
You would want to engage with me if I can provide some value, like just this is no
Yeah.
longer
And
a purchase market. And then the second thing I want to call out is, when we talk about how you, sorry, Sandeep, I just want to cover this.
yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
asked me, does this apply across all organizations? So when as a small business, you got to look at what are you, how big is your structure? How much can you invest in? So there are different levels of doing this. If you have the luxury of doing a full project, from start to finish, right? From a focus group to a test in the market to evolving, great. But sometimes as a small business, you're like, I don't know, help me work through. Can we do like, what tools do you have? Where can I plug these numbers to come up with the final output? So enable me now. That's the other part that you and I can help organizations as well, because we've built tools, we've built coaching, we've built consulting services. Now maybe today as I'm starting off, I cannot afford consulting service, but a couple of hours of working session gets me my revenue target, gets me an understanding of how I classify my customers. So I feel like there are opportunities. I don't want people to get overwhelmed with
yeah.
there's that big effort. Like that's one of the big things with a small business. Our budgets, our time, these some of these concepts
You
can
know,
just bog you
yeah.
down.
Yeah, I agree with you at this point, and I'll give you an example. I've worked in big four kind of companies. I'll not say big four. I worked in IBM also for some time. I worked in big organizations, and I have seen all these people like Deloitte and McKinsey's and all that working in large large organization, Fortune, for not Fortune, but all multi-billion dollar companies. So when I see a project, when I see something, so the common point is, oh, this can impact on the 10 different things, and one
Yes,
small thing can become a multi-million dollar project, right? And
yes,
then the customer is his head is spinning,
yes,
what is going on, because it's a multi-geography. But in a
yes,
smaller organization, we have
yes,
different challenges. But
yes,
I think with the right support from
yes,
mentors and businesses and consultants, I think still with less amount of investments, I think
yes,
or advisor with advisors and all that, we can do that. So
yes,
anyway, one question I wanted to ask you was, there are two things happening in the customers. Like I'm stuck with the why do they want to buy on the fourth one. And
yeah,
I want to clarify that to everyone. And I want your opinion on that. Is sometimes people think what they know is right. And as a seller or as a business owner, we know that they need something else rather than this
yes,
what they are thinking. So the
yes,
approach which I think many marketing gurus and others have said is solve the problem which the customer think they have,
yeah.
even though that's not the right problem at this must solve their problem, build trust, and then solve their actual problem. Is do
So,
rather than saying in the first meeting itself, I say, I know what you think is right, but you don't know this. You need something else. So what these people said, and I want your opinion on that, is solve their problem which they think they have, and then actually build trust and go for that. And that's one thing which I learned from a few people, and I thought I'll just put as a cross. And what do you think about it?
so as a young entrepreneur, my attitude used to be, no, no, listen to me, you're not following. And people's general tendency, Sandeep, is that till they're there as a mindset, you cannot convince them. Like you cannot drag people kicking and screaming over.
Yeah,
Now, the flip side of it is, in terms of solve the problem that they don't really have right now, what you can do is build awareness and educate them on what's going on, see if that message sinks in. But I will also tell you that what has happened is sometimes I've had a conversation with a client and not had the opportunity to engage with them. But a year, 2 years later, they've come back and say, hey, that registered with me. I'm there yet. What can we do?
yeah,
Now, in this situation, you know right off the bat that you have their ear, you have their trust, because you didn't try sell them something that didn't fit, that didn't work, right, from that
yeah,
perspective. And you did your best to educate them. But these situations are sort of those one-offs where you've got to work with what you have and see what you can provide.
yeah,
But truly, if you genuinely focus on providing them value, I feel it comes together for you and them both
yeah.
as well.
No, I understand. And then thank you very much for that. And then another thing which I wanted to say here is that when we talk about what do they need, why do they want to buy, and what do they want to buy, that's so core. And that's so third and fourth question is so core, that if you know that I'll give you an example. You must have followed Seth Godin, and I follow him a lot. He is a great person. He is a great marketing guru, and he said one thing. He said, if you want to open a restaurant, you should open a restaurant in, say, in San Francisco's Fisherman Cave for a fish related restaurant, rather than into, say, Pleasanton, where I am here. Because what you're looking for is a hungry crowd, a stream of hungry crowd, people that there are there, rather than creating an innovative creative idea and trying to create a concept which may or may not work right now, and because there is no market right now. So it's better to look at some market where people have some kind of need, and you know there is a need, and then you are one of the competition, and then you are picking up that and then building up into something which we call it as a blue ocean later on, because at the initial stages sometimes customers do not have, oh sorry, the business owners do not have the strength or the financial strength to go in for a longer period of time to develop a concept into a established market or something. Do you think that works, or
So
no?
I think when you look, if you are a business that has a hungry market, more power to you. But I also feel like not all of us are not that uh, lucky, right? So there may be a market that you're trying to penetrate that already exists. Or I think the maturity model to me, like, is where you can actually create your own value and your market, right? I keep going back to that example of, we don't do ERP project implementation, but we created a role for us in that project
Yeah,
because of the value we provided. So from that perspective, do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah,
if you
no,
truly follow the value proposition, your unique selling proposition
yeah,
makes you need for the customer, not just you being a problem solver.
yeah,
So that's the other part of
yeah.
it that,
I
you
I have a question from the audience, and it
sure.
says that I'll read it. What do you see as the biggest challenge for? We have talked about so much, but what do you see as the biggest challenge for entrepreneurs and owners of small and medium businesses?
So I think the biggest challenge I see is that this itself can get really overwhelming, right? How do I do sales? Like, um, I'm an IT professional. I'm starting a technology business. I don't know anything about sales, about marketing, about running a business. So having a plan, I want to make $1 million, great, but how does that translate into doable tasks on a daily, weekly, monthly basis? This is something where I say, hey, we've built out tools, we've built out coaching, we've built out consulting packages. Talk to us. Let us help you guide you through that process and simplify this for you to where it is, basic core tasks that you're tracking to either see how you're doing or realign when things are not working. It's just, trial and evolve, trial and evolve. It doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Okay. I have another one. Are you okay with another
Sure,
question?
sure,
Okay.
sure, sure.
So why do you think the customer is the most important building block to start with? And I love this question. I wanted to ask myself, we've talked about customer right now, and
Yes,
and we want to just talk about customer and customer segment for the last
yes,
first webinar. So why is
yeah.
that?
So, I was going back to, like, finding the opportunities is so hard. The market is so fluid. You are, the customer awareness is just enough to be dangerous. So you're sort of helping to work with what they know, versus, educate them a little bit more on making sure they truly understand the need. The window to close the opportunity, the customer attention span has gone down tremendously, right? To be effective, when you look at your cost versus your profitability, like, the pressure is really on. So bringing all of that together, you need to accelerate your pipeline, meaning, close your deals faster. You need to have, better customer retention, like, manage your cost of sales, manage your sort of the overall acquisition costs for the customer. When you look at all of that, you got to do targeted sales, you've got to do efficient engagement, you got to enhance your value to the customer. But unless you understand at the end of the day, who you're doing this for, or how you're going to engage with them, or why they're going to buy from you, basically your selling model doesn't work, or your organization, like, having goals is good, but how do you achieve them? Who are you selling to? And how can you be more efficient in your selling allows you to sort of, get better returns. So it all comes back to, the customer and understanding them so that you can gear your coverage model to solutioning for them,
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Okay, thank you. And one last question I want to talk. My thing is that why would they want to buy from me? And that's where you were talking about blue ocean and red ocean, and there's an opportunity. So we are not talking about sales only here. We're talking
Yeah.
about the entire business model. We're talking about the creating the entire business where even though you are looking for a hungry crowd, but they are giving such a service that it becomes a blue ocean where there is no competition,
Yes.
and the stream comes to you directly, right? And that's
Yeah.
what you're saying. Why would they want to buy from me? And that's a good question we should keep asking every day for whatever business we are in.
Yes. Yes.
and
Is
and
my
that, yeah, and that creates, I think if I can say that that question should be asked, and should our each of our employees as small business
yeah.
should be able to answer that question within themselves and say, I know why the customer is buying from me. And then that brings a lot of culture and ability to answer there and get the right feeling and how when they are delivering the services to the customers. Am I
Yes. Yes.
okay,
Definitely.
okay,
Definitely.
okay,
Definitely.
okay.
So I think like in view of the time, like I'm
Yeah,
gonna, skip a little bit to kind of get
yeah,
some of the key takeaways that I want to call out. So basically what we're saying is, make it easy for your customers to interact with you, right? Um, Help gear yourself to provide to their needs, what questions they have, right? Be available, increase your touch points, make sure you're touching base with them, that it's not just, what do they need, where are they at? If you're actively engaged, you know their patterns. So if they buy, once a year towards Q4, like whatever the patterns are, know those patterns so that you're available and servicing those needs. And we have a tendency to oversell and underdeliver. My practice has always been to say, understand their needs and then under promise and over deliver, because
yeah,
it builds for a better relationship, right? Um, in terms of as a small business, can you create what we call rewards program? What's their motivation to buy from you? How can you build brand loyalty? If you are doing a value-based proposition and working with them to, they know you are accountable, they know they can trust you to deliver the solution. That's organic upsell right there. Like that's a good brand story to have, right?
mhm,
Um, and then, staying in touch, being accountable, being accessible. Even if I have one resource on a project, that organization knows that they can reach out, that I'm engaged, I'm tracking as the CEO or the owner of the company to make sure, because it's not that one employee on a project, it's our company, it's our reputation, it's what the customer thinks of it as a whole organization, So
yeah.
that's some of the key takeaways for customer segmentation. I think given the time, do you want to see if there are questions and we can come back to
No,
the
I think let's see if we have any other questions, and then I want to show another. If do you have? Okay, so this is the LinkedIn and other
yes,
information. So
yes.
anybody can take a picture, and if you're watching the recording, reach out to Ritu for any of the services required. And I think.
Do you want me to stop the share?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, go
It's.
ahead.
Do you want to still continue? Any other question, Vrinda?
Um, yeah, I guess we have one.
Oh, okay. So just a minute.
Yeah. What
Uh,
are
what are the key customer metrics one should track as a business? So if we can talk about a little bit, you talked about metrics and a measurement a few minutes back, I think.
Yeah. So just looking at it from a journey perspective, Sandeep, let's start with the first one. The first one is customer lifetime value. Basically what that translates out to is, if I engage with a customer for a year, what is the value or return? And it could be whether it's, the logos, if you're trying to break into a market, or, hey, I want to earn 100,000 a year from a customer, right? Or I want to earn, like, my customers generally as a pattern provide me, like one customer provides me, like we were talking about, a customer segment of one or a target of one. Maybe I service projects that are, 250,000 customers. So when you look at a lifetime value, how you use that is, my revenue goal is 500,000 this year. If I know that my average customer lifetime value is 100,000, I know I need to get 5 customers, right? But if it's 250, I know I just need 2 to convert from opportunity. So customer lifetime value is 1. The second one is your conversion rate. And what that means is, I have 10 opportunities, let's say, and I can convert 10 opportunities from 10, 1. So my conversion rate is, 1%, right? Or 10%, sorry, my numbers are off, 10%, right? So from that perspective, what that means is, if you need 2 customers, that means you need 20 opportunities to convert. So knowing your conversion rate is the next one. And then from an approach perspective, like, that sort of helps you track how you're looking at your business, right? So the lifetime value, the conversion rates, those are some of sort of the key metrics. And then the acquisition cost is the third one that I will talk about, meaning what does it take to acquire a customer? And so when you're looking at your revenue, your profitability, your margins, what are your acquisition costs from a opportunity to conversion to get a customer, and looking at it in your revenue or corporate strategy. So those are some of the top 3 ones.
Awesome.
that
Awesome.
organization.
If there is no other question, I think we can close the webinar. And do you want to say any other thought here? I think yeah.
You do want to bring up the slide with the this QR scan?
Oh, yeah, I will.
That was one of the things I know was on your list as well.
Yes, I should. Yeah. So just a minute. Okay, yes. So I think this is our LinkedIn, and reach out to us, and reach out to me for Punjabi Chamber of Commerce related inquiries or business related inquiries, or reach out to Ritu for any other things related to business. Or if you have any questions about business modeling or customer segmentation and all that, we can answer your questions together, or any other time you reach out to us. And we are here to serve the community. We are here to serve and give back. And there is, even though we are running our businesses, but our main objective is to ensure that we want to give value to our community and help them grow, flourish, and prosper. And whatever we know, and we will keep meeting you guys. I think we'll have many good conversations this year and the next.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you very much.
Collaborating with you.
Yeah, thank you very much for your time, Ritu, and it's a pleasure. Thank you. We can close down, please.
Yeah, I'm ending it for everyone. Thank you.